Hi, I'm live. Welcome to my live stream. Originally, I was supposed to meet up with somebody that I want to introduce my audience to, Phil the Connector. He has connected me with so many amazing people, and he's just a different kind of guy. But we had problems with our connection today, which is ironic since he's the connector. So I wanted to come on here and just talk about the backstory of me, my company, um, you know, what we do that's different than other agencies, and also what my favorite type of VA is. I had to say that all because I made a list, I wrote it down, but I didn't make it in a place where I could see it again. So let's start with me because I was in home service as a technician, as a business owner. I've done all sorts of different businesses. I started business when I was really young. I've always been very entrepreneurial, but I really spent most of my adult life in the trades, in the world of the home service industry, which is unusual. There are not a lot of women who do the work that I did or who run companies like I did, and especially on their own. And so that already made me what I call a unicorn. But over the years, I have this insatiable thirst for knowledge. So I have spent a lot of time just learning. I want to learn everything. I feel like the more that I learn, the more I understand the world and the more I understand myself. So I eventually finished school, like college, a business degree when I was about 29 or 30. And at that time, I was juggling being a single mom. I was in school full time. I was running a company full time. And I was crying to my doctor about it because you can't do all those things. And he said, Mel, I think you need to go get tested for ADD. And I did one of those real doctor tests where I went in for 8 hours with a psychologist and they did all the things. I learned so much about my brain. But the most important thing I learned about my brain was A, I'm not stupid because I've spent most of my life not being able to learn the way other people learn. I struggle with reading because I'm dyslexic. Like I didn't know this growing up. I thought everybody skims the information that they put in front of their face. So I've really spent a lot of time since then. Just it kind of was like it blew my mind. Now that was about 18 years ago now. But ever since then, I've been on this mission to figure out how do I make it so that my brain can be doing only sparkly brain. I say I have a sparkly visionary brain, but doing sparkly things like the good things, the things that light me up, the creating ideas and things like that. And how can I avoid all the things that take my energy, steal my energy? And I've been on a mission for years to figure that out. Along the way, I had some great mentors. I joined coaching groups for business. And I really credit that with learning a lot more about myself and about business. I never learned how to run a business. I was handed a box of receipts, thousands of receipts, some equipment, and a customer list, and like some paper calendars, and said, this is the business. And so I had to learn systems. I had to learn all sorts of things again that I just started from scratch. The internet barely existed back then. There were no Facebook groups. And so I would try to read books or learn, but I just always felt like I was learning the hard way. And so probably about 7 years ago or more now, time passes so quickly, I'd had office managers, office help, and I had an actual office, but my mentor at that time said, Mel, you need to get a virtual assistant. And I'd worked with virtual people through Fiverr or Upwork, but never somebody full time with me. And I was like, wow, this is really affordable. It's super inexpensive. I'm gonna give this a shot. And I brought on somebody who would eventually become the co-founder of Home Service VA. She and I had this is Dean, if you know my backstory, Dean and I had a really great connection, and she understood how I thought, and she was also very patient with me. Um, so there are days when my brain is just going 1,000 miles an hour. I have so many ideas, so many things I want to do, and then there are days when I just can't even think. and she was very patient, she was very understanding, and together we worked to figure out how do we how do well, our relationship just worked pretty well, from the start, and when I sold my company, my home service business at that time, I did find Dean another client to work with, but I really missed her. I missed that collaboration because I'm a collaborator. And I said to Dean not long after, like, "Hey, you want to consider starting a business?" Now we had already been helping some of my friends and business colleagues find VAs. I like to do things for free. And the old Melody liked to do things for free because I like to help people. And my, mentor said, "No, you can't do this for free anymore. You need to start a business." And we did. It's been about over 4 years now. I think we started at the beginning of 2021, and officially, and man, I've worked with hundreds of mostly home service business owners, but I've also worked with coaches and, YouTubers and, executives, a lot of different kinds of people. But because I started in home service, that's where we got the most referrals. And I've always been a very much a referral based business. That's how I've grown all my businesses. But there's something that I didn't realize about myself, which is that I love doing the thing I do. I love fixing things, making new ideas for it, being the idea person. I love the operations side of things, but I am not always great about talking about the thing that we do. And I had a great thing when I first started. My coaching group at the time, Conquer, pretty much was my entire flow of clients. It was all word of mouth. I didn't have to do any marketing or too much work. And I just felt like, wow, but I also felt like unsure. Am I good enough to be doing this? And so there were a lot of mistakes that I made early on. I didn't start as an agency. We started as a recruiter. I thought that I could get the system perfect and then we would turn into an agency once we knew what we were doing. Well, you know what? You never know what you're doing. Like people are not like a set structure, and we are in the business of, you know, matching people together and then making sure that they can work efficiently together while also trying to trick business owners into doing things that we need them to do so that their assistant can help them with the work that they want done. There's a lot of different things that go into it. And so the years dragged on, and finally I made that choice last year early to switch to an agency model. And at the same time, a lot of other companies started coming into the home service space because people need the service. They do. So I spent the first, 3 years just explaining what a virtual assistant was to people, putting it in front of people, so that they could understand what you can actually do when you have somebody on your team, even if they're virtual. And thank God for Zoom, like people getting used to that. It's not as big a fight anymore. And like I said, we've helped hundreds of clients, but the agency growth has been slow. And part of that is because we're not in front of our audience all the time. And also, I think, again, there's a lot more different types of agencies that have popped up. And on the surface, sometimes we all sound the same because marketing, right? Now, I love marketing and I'm also a hater. I just don't love, I'm just a precise person. I don't ever want to lie to anybody. I don't want to say something like, you know, we'll find you the perfect VA. I hate that language because nobody's perfect. And how can I possibly do that? But that's how marketing is. You're supposed to say things like that so that people will be drawn to you. So I once had somebody tell me, like, Melody, I literally just want you to confidently tell me that it's going to work for me and that it's just going to work. And I'm like, I can't do that. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't see the future. I know that we are good at what we do. And if you do the work the very little we ask you to do and you work with us, then we'll get you to be successful. So I think in that I've been not as good at the marketing and sales side as I should have been. And so here's the deal. I realized every once in a while I'll do these live stream things where I'll go and just start talking about VA stuff. And I'm always like, they're sick of hearing it. But also, I don't think people always see these. And I want to make sure that I can be in front of people right now talking about as much as possible. A, because I want to support the growth of our agency, the growth of our team. The more clients we get, the more we can, do better trainings for everybody and give them more. And so I'm always trying to look at it from that perspective. And then also, I mean, marketing is everything, isn't it? And so I decided for the month of June, I'm going to do lives every day again. I did this maybe last year. The end got painful because 30 days in a row is a lot of screen time. And some days you just don't feel like it. And I remember on like day 15 or 16, I'm like, why did I do this? But the reason I'm doing it again is I was in a meeting with somebody the other day who had heard about that from a different person. And he started doing lives, and he has been doing a 30-day challenge basically. And that inspired me, even though I inspired him, that inspired me to start my 30-day challenge again. It's going to be a little bit more than 30 because I'm going to do it through the month of June, but I'm starting today. So this is just, where my business came from. The thing that Dean, going back to that story, the thing that Dean and I tried to create together, we wanted to create the experience that we wish had existed when we first started working together. Sometimes it works like magic and sometimes it doesn't. And so there have been so many times where, we think we've got the right match, and matching matters. It really matters. And then there have been other times where we are not sure if it's going to work, but we've kind of learned over time to just say to people, hey, we want to know as quickly as possible if you feel the feeling of, why did I wait so long? That's really what the metric is. If you work with us and you get a virtual assistant who works with you and you don't feel that feeling within like a week, then something is off. And it doesn't mean it's the wrong person necessarily. It means that there's something missing. So what is a virtual assistant? It is somebody who works remotely. Could be your next door neighbor, could be somebody across the world. I work with Filipinos because Dean was Filipino, but it turns out Filipinos are awesome because they speak American English. There's a lot of jobs. It's a very coveted position in the Philippines. So even though people work overnights, they love working as a VA because they get I'll just speak for my company. We pay them good wages with benefits. They get to stay home. And so maybe they get to bring their kids to school in the morning and then sleep during the day and be more active with their family. The Philippines is known for its traffic. I've experienced it. And you could sit and drive to work maybe 2 hours a day there and back. So it's like 4 hours. I've heard employees talk about that before. And so it's something that it's a job that people really covet in the Philippines, and they're just loyal, awesome people. And so those people can actually do every job that you need somebody to do for your office, except, getting your mail and sweeping your floor. Those are the things they can't do because they're not at your office. So what we do is we teach people who don't have maybe experience working with somebody who's virtual. We download your brain in interviews. We figure out what the tasks are to start with, the 3 to 5 tasks that are going to be the big things that they can take over that will give you a huge chunk of time back. And we want them to be able to do this without you accidentally micromanaging them. When you're handing over your baby to somebody, sometimes people get that feeling of like, I can't trust this person. We create systems of transparent accountability where they are accountable to you. You don't have to nag them. You don't have to micromanage them. They're going to give you the things that you guys have agreed to, and it's going to build trust. Everything in our systems in the company are about building trust. I think I'm off on a tangent. So let me go back to what a VA does. There are some VAs who focus solely on back end, doing quoting, or some VAs do customer service. And The way I usually think of it is that you might be somebody who has a business and you are doing your business stuff, and then you go home and you have to do all the other business stuff, like the phone calls, the emails, and all that. That was my story, the story of my life, back when I had my service companies and before I had office staff or VAs. And so you need somebody who's going to take over that stuff that you can trust. But most of the time, if you're at the point where you're ready to let it go, you don't know how to train or delegate, gate, or support. We know how to do that. That's what we're good at. And sometimes it's you might have an office manager who is really overwhelmed. They need help and support so they can do more customer interaction or whatever. You might want somebody who's going to help you with sales calls or sales support. And my favorite of all of the roles is the melody manager, as I call it. That's the executive assistant role. That's the melody lifesaver role, which is the reason I say it's the melody manager is because I have said to my assistants, like, I don't need more people or more things to manage. I need somebody to manage me and my things, which is a crazy thing for a boss to say. And yet it's also what we want. If you're a leader who's running multiple companies, or you're, the ADHD sparkly brain visionary like I am, who's just like overwhelmed by the ideas and by all the things that you could be doing, you need somebody who's going to organize that for you. They make you look good. They are the ones who will be answering your emails on your behalf. I try very hard not to go into my email because I was an addict. If I was in the box, I was, spending a lot of time. And it's not that email always takes a long time, but you're going to be in and out all the time. It takes your focus away. So my assistant takes care of all of the emails, and she'll bring me the things that I need to deal with. And then she responds. Sometimes I'll go in, but I try not to. I don't even think about it. And I used to think about it all the time. And this is a person who is kind of like your collaborator. There's a lot of companies that talk about VAs like well, first of all, because we have AI and robots and things, a virtual assistant is now what they call like an AI assisted, software or something as well. So I have to be careful about how I talk. And I've never liked the term virtual assistant because of the connotation. It sounds like they're not a person. And a lot of people talk about it that way. You can hire a person for $2 an hour and they'll do anything you want. And doesn't mean that that's an ethical wage that you should be paying them, that they'll stay long term, that they will not have 10 other clients on the side, and that they will be dedicated to you. And what we're trying to do is create long-term collaborative relationships between people so that, because selfishly, that's what's best for us. If we can get people to stay together a long time and to be able to help make change and progress in the business in a way that a business owner can see, that's better for them, it's better for the assistant, and it's better for us. So I would say the things that make my company different is probably the systems. The way that we have created systems is very much based on my ideas in my brain of how can I make things so easy that you as somebody who would work with us doesn't have to do anything. I want you to do as little as possible, and we can get what we need from you so that we can train your assistant. That's right. We spend the first week training them. And when I say we train them, we really try to teach them to train themselves, because what you want is not somebody who's going to be like copy pasting what we tell them. You want somebody who's going to be proactive, accountable, self-motivated, emotionally intelligent, and has good critical thinking skills. You want somebody, we have different things in it, resourceful. You want somebody who has those values, those capabilities, so that you can trust them and you know that they've got you. And eventually they'll be able to be a little bit more of a proactive mind reader, though that takes a while. I would say on average, when I've had I haven't kept an assistant for more than a year. I'm just going to say that out loud, like somebody who's my executive assistant for more than a year. And the reason for that is not because I'm a horrible person, I think. It's usually because once somebody understands my brain, I want them in a different part of the company. I want them to be able to put my brain into other places so that I don't have to worry about it. And so, pretty much at this point in my life, I want to keep an assistant because our company, our internal team is really great. I feel very happy with everybody who's there. I don't have to worry about it. My goal is to leave in July, August, and not be much a part of HSVA. We've done this before, but it's usually an emergency. Like last year, I had surgery, so I didn't work for 6 weeks. The year before that, I had a concussion, so I didn't work for 2 months. But I've never been able to do it. I mean, I do it for little vacations, but I've not done it on purpose in a long time. It's probably been a few years. And they say the signs of a good company are, can you leave? I've always been able to leave. We have good systems in place. My team is good. But it doesn't mean that I've fulfilled all of the wish list in my company. And right now we're as close as I've ever been, and that makes me happy. Um, and what will I be doing in July and August? Well, I'll be taking some time off, of course, but I'll be working on my other big project, which is the Melody Manager. And so I won't talk much about that one. But this is just the background story of like how I came to be in the VA world, why we kind of do things the way we do. I would say again, the things that we're really good at are the training, taking over that training and creating collaborative relationships, not just doer relationships. You don't want a doer. You want no matter what you say, you really want somebody who's going to work with you. And the support. We have HSVA Support Club. All our VAs are there. They all know that we are there to support them. We do a lot of training. We do monthly trainings, AI trainings. I am very deep in the AI world, and not in a marketing sense, but like I want to understand how it affects small business. So I go to a lot of AI focused events. I learn a lot about it. I'm really trying to stay forward as much as possible for the past couple of years. And so we teach your VA what I learn, which is pretty cool. It's been disappointing that a lot of business owners don't care yet because they just see the marketing side of it of like you can use it to write your marketing and stuff. There's so much more in it and really for me it's like learning how to use it in a way that is actually going to help you and not just be shiny object syndrome all over the place. Okay, I think I said all of the things today. Let me know if you have any questions about VAs, but I have the top 30 to 50 questions that people ask about virtual assistants, and I will be going over each and every one every day on a live stream. You're going to get sick of me. Maybe not. Maybe you'll just learn a lot of things. And I think that's it for today. I did my job. I hope you have a great evening. It's 5:05 in I was going to say in America, but in the eastern part of America. And I think I'm going to go on a bike ride now. I earned it. See you later.